Hello YouTube! Here's another video for some of my prep before the Appalachian Trail Thru-Hike that starts on March 1st. I was talking to a coworker today that was asking me what my cook system will be, and I thought, hey, why don't I make a video about it? So it's just more chance for me to prep my editing and publication skills on YouTube before I hit the trail in just a week or a week and a half. So I'm going to show you my cook system, which is an alcohol stove, and I'm going to use the freezer bag method to show you how to cook a Knorr Rice Side. This is how I plan to cook on the trail, so let's show you what it looks like, and if you have any thoughts, feedback, comments, please feel free to share. There's no shortage of opinions about this stuff. So, over the course of the last 10 years of backpacking and cooking in the backcountry, I've tweaked what works for me. So this may not be exactly what works for you, but if there's something that you can take away from it, then I hope it helps. All right, so I'm going to walk you through my cook system that I'm taking on the Appalachian Trail. And just as an example, I'll use the Knorr Rice Sides, which are very popular as a common meal on the trail. I do use the freezer bag method, so I'll show you that with my freezer bag cozy. I also use an alcohol stove made out of a cat food can, so I'll walk you through everything we've got now. The pot that I'm using is the Keith Titanium 900 milliliter. It comes in a nice mesh sack, which I like, and then I have everything that I need included in it as well. So I'll talk through each of the individual items, but just a little bit about the Keith. I know it's not the most popular one out there, but I found it on sale. I really liked it. It's lightweight. At 900 milliliters, it'll easily hold 2 cups of water for ramen or making the Knorr sides or anything else. It's got a nice lid on top, which is great. That stays up on its own. It doesn't fall down, which I like. And then also it does have some drain holes here. I do like the style of the MSR tea kettle more that has the spout to pour out of, which makes it a little easier to get rid of excess water, but this works just as fine. So, and then it's got some handles on the side here, which, as long as you use something to pick them up. You can see I actually burned off a little bit of a towel that I tried to use to lift this off with. So be careful the type of material that you do use when you're taking your pot off, because it might be hot. All right, so inside, a few things. So my spoon is just a tiny, I think it's MSR folding plastic spork. I like it because it folds down inside and because it is really deep, so you can really get into some of those deep freezer bags, or if you're using Mountain House bags or something like that. So that's the spoon that goes with it. A tiny little lighter. This is the measuring cup that I use, so just like a cough syrup measuring cup. I marked on there 1 tablespoon and 2 tablespoons so that I know how much alcohol I need to use. On 1 cup of water that I'm trying to boil in not too cold of weather, 1 tablespoon will do fine. If I'm trying to boil 2 cups and it's really cold out, I'll definitely have to put in the 2 tablespoons. All right. Next is a tiny sponge. For the times that I do cook out of the pot, just to be able to clean it out. This weighs nothing, just a little cut up piece of sponge. Similarly, just a tiny piece of plastic that I use as a pot scrape. So if I've cooked in it and it dried and it's hard to get off with the sponge, just scraping around the side. All right, and then lastly is the actual stove. So this is my cat food can stove. I've been using this for about 6 or so years. Just a fancy feast stove with holes poked around the side. Works really well, super lightweight. I think it weighs like 1/4 of an ounce. All right, a couple other things in here. So I do have a additional cup, and the reason why I'm bringing a cup and a pot is that I like to be able to drink coffee and have oatmeal at the same time being on the trail, but given how little weight everything is, I felt fine just carrying a little pot. And then one of the things that's in here, it's a little hard to see, but I don't have, either of these pots don't have measurements on the inside, so I just made a little piece of aluminum foil that I put in here that measures a cup of water. So each of those lines is 1 cup of water. When it's put into the pot, I just pour the water into that, just a piece of tin foil that's folded. The little hook hangs on the side, and that works out really well. Okay. All right, and bandana just for cleaning and lifting the pot on and off. And then lastly is the pot screen. So again, a piece of aluminum foil. This is actually taken from an aluminum baking sheet. So you just and I'll wrap that around the pot, and you'll see when I do it, it just works really well and holds everything in place. All right, so that is the full ensemble of all the items that go with, and now I'll show you just a couple accessory items I use in addition. Not accessories, but the supplemental items, and then I'll show you it in action. So alcohol, I'll be carrying 4 ounces of alcohol at a time. This is just a small Nalgene bottle that has denatured alcohol in it. It should be pretty easy to find denatured alcohol or heat or something at the different gas stations and hostels that you stop at. So hopefully it's not going to be too hard of a time. 4 ounces should easily last me about 4 days, which is the plan. If I can't find alcohol anywhere, as a backup plan, I am going to bring the BRS stove. So the BRS is a canister stove that weighs less than an ounce, and if I find canisters in any hiker boxes or any hostels when I can't find alcohol, at least I'll have a backup plan. And then lastly is the freezer bag that I use, the cozy. So this is just a homemade freezer bag cozy made out of Reflectix material. Put your Ziploc bag and food in there and let it cook on its own. All right, so I'll show you everything in action. Okay, so the Knorr pasta and rice sides call for 2 cups of water. For anyone who's made these before, that typically is too much. So I'm going to show you what it looks like after cooking it with 1.5 cups of water and 1 tablespoon of alcohol. So just to show you my little measurement thing here, so here's a cup and a half of water. Pouring it in using my tiny little aluminum foil doohickey. If you can see, it comes in at just halfway through the first and the second mark. I know it's kind of hard to see. All right, so with that out of the way, then we'll put the stove on. So putting in 1 tablespoon of alcohol carefully so as not to burn down my house. Those who are unfamiliar with alcohol stoves, there's a ton of information out there. I'll put a link in the video so you can go chase down the rabbit hole like I did when I was first learning about this stuff. But when you light it, it does a tiny little blue flame, which can be hard to see in the backcountry, so be careful when you are lighting this. It is probably lit when you don't think it is. You do want to let it prime for about 15 to 30 seconds. The longer you let it prime, the better the heat will get out those holes. So you don't want to burn off too much though, and if it's really windy, you might want to just get things going. So I'm going to go ahead and put the pot on, make sure it is even. Okay, and you can see the, put this down a little bit, you can see that the holes that the flames come out of, you'll see the blue flame come out of there as it gets primed fully and the stove really starts to work. So I'm going to leave that there so you can see when the flames do start to pop out the side. All right, you can see it is fully primed now. Those flames are really coming out, and let me see if I can get just a little bit closer for you. There you go. And I'll just go ahead and leave it here, and we'll speed up the video so you don't have to actually watch it boil. All right, so that's good to go now. Let's go ahead and get this ready to show you how the rice side works in the Knorr in the freezer bag. All right, so let's take that off. Slide it off to the side just so the flames don't shoot up on you. Just be careful doing this. There you go, and then we'll let the alcohol burn out on its own. You don't want to try to put it out, it's going to be really difficult. One thing you could do is smother it if you've got some sort of extra pot or cup. So I'll just take the cup and I'll smother it, and that should go ahead and put it out. Oop. We'll leave it there for a couple seconds. There we go. Okay. And then you can reuse that alcohol if you want to later, but let's go ahead and make our side. So I've got the freezer bag, the rice side. Go ahead and dump that in. right, then I'll take this, get that ready. Nice thing about a titanium pot is it cools almost instantly, so that's easy to pick up. And we'll go ahead and pour that in. Give it a little it up a little bit, and then we'll go ahead and throw it in there. Try to keep as much of that heat as we can. All right, so now that gets to sit off to the side and wait while we clean up. That's probably going to sit there for about 10 minutes if you really want to make sure it's cooked well. So clean up your tent, or clean up your campsite, go set your tent if you haven't done anything like that yet, and eagerly anticipate when you can eat it. It's been about 5 minutes, so I'm just going to mix it up and make sure that it is rehydrating itself as best as it can, and then we'll let it sit again for another 5. Alright, it's been about 10 minutes, so let's see how well it's cooked. I'm going to guess we might need to do it a little longer, but let's see. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely eatable or edible at this point, but I would rather it cook a little bit longer. So we're going to do another 5 minutes and see if we can get it to absorb the rest of that water. Okay, so it's been another 5 minutes. Let's go ahead and see how we're doing. And I think at this point I'd eat it no matter what it looked like. It actually absorbed it really well at this point. There definitely still is some water there, so you'll have to drink a little bit of it at the end. Get creative if you want to do a little bit less water. Otherwise, you've got everything you have here now to enjoy a Knorr Rice Side's feast. All right, so I hope that was helpful for anyone else who's looking to figure out, what their cook system might look like on the trail. I will admit the rice side is pretty good. It could still cook longer. It could still have less water. So tweak it as you go. I think if I had to do it all over again, I would probably do 1 to 1 1/4 cups of water and then just eat it after 10 minutes, maybe 15 if I was really willing to wait. All right, thanks for watching.